welcome to class today. My name is Lily. I'm a yoga and meditation teacher and also a teen yoga and mindfulness teacher. I spend a lot of my time working with young people between the ages of 12 and about 24. And I do this in schools and through charities and through youth work, and we usually spend a little bit of time together getting to know yoga, maybe getting to learn some tools related to meditation and breath work, maybe helping to deal with any issues with anxiety or stress or pressure. So I thought it would be good to make some videos and pop them up here on this channel, just so that you had some resources to look at if you had some spare time and you felt like maybe you were looking for some practices or something to do that might help you feel a little bit better at the moment. So I'm going to be putting some different kinds of yoga practices up here on this YouTube channel, just so that you have some classes that you can watch along at home and maybe learn some new skills, learn a little bit about meditation, and see if that could maybe help us all get through this quite stressful time together. So basically, the most important thing is that you can be somewhere where you're not going to get interrupted too much. So the class is going to be about half an hour today. It's going to be very beginners based, quite easy, and we'll learn a few different asanas. So if this is your first time doing yoga, don't be worried at all. It would be great if you had a yoga mat. Of course, that's not definitely possible. So you can definitely practice on a towel or a Pilates mat or any kind of mat that maybe you have at home. Also, a couple of things that you can grab from around the house that might make the practice a little bit easier. First of all would be a cushion. So I'm sitting on this cushion here today. I'm also sitting on a block. So I've got some yoga blocks. You probably don't have any of those at home, but you can use just a big book or anything really that's quite sturdy. So I'm sitting here in a cross-legged position up on that book and or the block and on the cushion as well, so that can make things a little bit more comfortable and easier to sit in a cross-legged position. Of course, you don't have to sit how I'm sitting right now. You can feel free to sit just in like a simple cross-legged position, or you're always welcome to come and sit on your knees. It might also be a good idea for you to grab a few other things. So I again have these yoga blocks. You would only need 2, so you could be sitting on one of those right now. And these are a great idea to give us a little bit of stability. So again, you could use some books or something you have lying around the house, just something that can give you a little bit of stability and maybe a little bit of ease in some of our postures. I also have a yoga strap. You could use a belt, you could use the belt from around your dressing gown, anything that's kind of sturdy that you might be able to use. And I also have this blanket. So if you didn't have a pillow, you could just fold that blanket up. The blanket's not 100% necessary, but can be useful to use as a prop if we don't have other yoga props around. So first of all, we'll find somewhere where we're not going to get disturbed and grabbing something to sit on, either a book, a cushion, something that allows us to elevate our hips a little bit, makes sitting cross-legged a little bit more comfortable. And just come into whichever position with your crossed legs that you find nice and comfortable. And we're going to start just for a few minutes at the beginning of class, just by closing down the eyes, bringing the hands onto the thighs. And we're going to take some of our focus, our attention to our breath. So first of all, we want to be sitting up really nice and tall. We can relax the shoulders, maybe release any tension that we feel in the jaw and relax the face a little. Make sure we're sitting nice and comfortably. And then we'll take our attention to our breath. So simply just noticing somewhere in your body where you feel like you can connect with the breath well. Remember, if it's a bit too uncomfortable for you to have your eyes closed, feel free to just keep your gaze down on the floor. That's completely fine. So we're going to find a place in the body where we feel like we can connect with the breath, where we feel our body is breathing. So for some people that might be the rise and fall of the chest. For others, it might be the rise and fall of the belly. Maybe you can feel it at the back of your nose where the air becomes your breath. We'll stay here, sitting up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed, palms of the hands on the thighs. And we'll just connect with the breath, not trying to change the breath, not trying to change how we're breathing at all. We're just finding that place in the body where we can connect with the breath. And we're just doing this to kind of ground down, relax a little bit at the start of class. It's fine if you feel a little bit fidgety. If your mind keeps wandering off to think about other stuff, just remember that's completely normal. That happens to everyone. And all we need to do when that happens is we just gently bring ourselves back onto our focus. So just for a little bit longer, we'll stay here. Just focusing on where in the body we can feel the breath. Okay, great job everyone. So we're going to open the eyes back up, and we're going to inhale, raise the arms all the way up. So we'll raise the arms all the way up and bring the palms to touch, and as we exhale, we'll bring the hands down through the center. So inhaling to open up, exhaling to bring the hands down through. We'll just do a few of these, inhaling up and exhaling through, inhaling up and through. And we'll bring our right hand onto the mat, and we're just going to take a big stretch over to the right hand side. So whatever feels good in your body today, you could tuck the chin, take the gaze over to your armpit. Nice big stretch, whatever feels right. We'll come over to the left. Again, could take the gaze to your armpit, could keep the gaze quite neutral. Whatever feels most comfortable in the body today. We'll come through one more time on each side, over to the right. Breathing into this side body. And we'll come back, left hand comes down. Okay, great job. So we're going to come off of our props or our cushion. We'll just pop those towards the back of our mat for now. And we're going to come to the back of our mat as well. We'll open up our knees about as wide as the mat. And we'll bring our toes to touch. We're going to walk our hands all the way forward so that our forehead comes into contact with the mat. And we're going to take a few deep breaths here. And we'll see if while we're here we could breathe into the belly. So maybe we're breathing up quite high in our chest, and we might try and encourage our breath to go into our belly a little bit here. And we'll see if we can take some nice long slow exhales. Okay, we're going to walk our hands all the way over to the left hand side of the mat. So we're getting a nice big stretch on the right hand side of the body. We'll bring again the forehead back to the mat. Remember, if your forehead doesn't reach the mat, just grab your cushion or your block. You can always just pop that underneath your head if you were having trouble reaching your forehead to the mat. So we're all stretched over to the left hand side. We'll walk our hands back to the middle and over to the right. Again, forehead comes either onto the floor or onto something else to give us a little bit of height there if we needed it. And we'll take a few big deep breaths into the left hand side of the body. Okay, hands come back to center. So this is one of our resting poses. So if during class you feel like you needed a little bit of a break, you could just come back to this pose anytime you felt like you needed to. So we're going to take our gaze between our hands. We're going to scoop all the way forward, bring our knees together, and then we're going to scoop all the way forward onto our belly. So we're going to keep our elbows really close to the body if we can, and we'll scoop forward all the way down. We're going to ground the tops of our feet into the mat. Our fingertips are roughly below our shoulders, and we're going to inhale, open the chest slightly. We're going to keep our gaze down on the mat at the front or on the floor in front of us. We'll keep the elbows nice and close to the body, pushing the tops of the feet into the mat. And we're going to exhale, coming all the way up to our tabletop position. So that was our cobra, our baby cobra. And we'll come into a tabletop position now. So we want to make sure that our fingers are spread really nice and wide. Maybe a slight little bend in our elbows, and that our knees and our hips are roughly in line with each other. So once we're here, we're going to come into a pose called our cat-cow, or Bidalasana, and we're going to take our gaze up, lift our sit bones, and then as we exhale, kind of round the spine, tuck the chin. We're going to follow through just with our own breath here. Hopefully you're managing to find a quiet place to do this practice today. So just doing what feels right in your own body, knowing nobody's watching. It's okay if you feel a little bit silly. Okay, a few more of these. Okay, great job everyone. And so we're going to come into our first downward facing dog of the day. So roughly we want to bring our hands about one hand span in front of where they were, just for our tabletop. And we're going to tuck our toes. Fingers are spread really nice and wide. We're going to tuck our toes and then we're going to lift our hips all the way back. So we're pushing our hips all the way back towards the back wall. And what we can do here is have a really nice big generous bend in our knees, especially for our first downward facing dog of class. Maybe even for your first downward facing dog ever. So we want to have our arms really nice and straight, and we're kind of in like an upside down V shape. So our back is really nice and flat. Our ears are roughly around where the tops of our arms are. And we can have a really big bend in the knees, remember. And we're not focusing on pushing the heels down too much. And we'll just take a couple of breaths here. Nice, big, long, slow exhale. Remember, you can drop the knees anytime you need to if you needed a little moment for a little break. Otherwise, we're all going to walk our feet up towards our hands. Again, really big bend in the knees. We'll take hold of our opposite elbows. We'll see if we can get our thighs and our belly to touch. So, bending the knees as much as you need to for that to happen. And then we might have a little bit of a sway from side to side. And then we might find a little bit of stillness, and we'll take a few breaths here. Really allow the top half of the body to feel nice and heavy. So you really want to release the head and neck, completely relaxed here. Again, we'll see if we can breathe into the belly. Nice, long, slow exhale. Okay, we're going to come into our half lift. So we can bring our fingertips by our toes and straighten our legs a little, or if we're quite tight in the backs of our legs, we might bring our hands onto our shins and come into quite a nice flat back position. Take the gaze just in front. So either flat back, straight legs, fingertips on the floor, or it might be a bit more comfortable in your body to bring your hands onto your shins. And then we'll inhale, raise all the way up, raising the hands above the head, palms come together. We'll bring them down through center, and we're going to come into our mountain pose. So you can come to the top of your mat, and we'll come into mountain pose. I'll come onto the side so you can see. So basically, mountain pose is our feet about as wide as our hips, or feet can be touching. So what works for your body, you just decide. Otherwise, we're going to close the eyes down, bring our arms down by our sides. Arms are really nice and strong and active. Fingers are spread really nice and wide. And there's a slight bend in the knees. And we might see if we can tuck and engage our core slightly. So that might feel like slightly pulling our belly button in towards our spine. And we're going to relax the shoulders. Relax them away from the ears. And we might have the tiniest little tuck in our chin. So just a tiny little bit. Not too much. This is our mountain pose, Tadasana in Sanskrit, and it's basically the foundation of all of our standing poses. It also allows us to take a little breath and just make sure that we're having a nice, kind and gentle practice today. So we're making sure that our breathing isn't too scattered or laboured, and that we don't feel a bit too exhausted by the practice. So we just check in with ourselves and see how we're doing. Nice, big, long, slow exhales if we can. And again, you can feel free to come here into this pose if we're doing some standing exercises and you needed a little minute, a little break. You can always return here to our mountain pose. Otherwise, when you're ready, so we're all still at the front of our mat, when we're ready, we're going to do a couple of rounds of our sun salutations. So that's just a little couple of poses together, and we'll do a couple of rounds of them. So you'll see what I mean, and we'll talk through quite nice and slowly some of the poses that we're going to do. So inhaling our arms all the way up, palms come to touch for our Urdhva Hastasana. We might bend back slightly. Exhale, folding all the way forward into our big forward fold that we did earlier, Uttanasana. Nice big bend in the knees. Exhale, folding forward, sorry. And then we'll inhale up to our half lift. So maybe our hands are on our shins, our back is nice and flat. We're going to plant the hands either side of the feet, and we're going to take a big step back with our left foot and then drop the knee. So we're coming into a kind of runner's lunge here. So we'll make sure that our knee and our ankle are roughly in line with each other, and that we feel quite a nice stretch on the left-hand side of our hips. So we have a couple of options for this pose, so you just decide what works best for you. You could keep your fingertips on the mat. You could bring your hands up onto the thigh, or today you might like to raise the arms. Whatever works in your body today. And then we're going to plant the hands again if we've moved them. And we'll take our right foot all the way back to our left. And we're going to come into child's pose, which is similar to our downward facing warrior, but this time our knees are a bit closer. They don't have to touch, they're a bit closer. And then we'll bring our forehead onto the mat. Take a nice big deep breath here. Again, we can always use a block under the forehead or a book if we needed a little bit extra space. And our hips are quite nice and heavy towards our heels. We're going to take our gaze between our hands and we're going to scoop forward just like we did earlier. We're going to come into our cobra pose. So scooping forward, elbows are really close to the body. Inhale up and open the chest slightly. It could be really small, you could be really close to the ground, or you might open up. Whatever feels best in your body. Tops of the feet are grounding into the mat, elbows stay close to the body. And then from here we tuck the toes. Hips come all the way back for our downward facing dog. Remember, you can have a really generous bend in your knees if you need one. And we're going to take a few breaths here. And remember, if we're here and you needed to have a rest, you could always drop the knees, come back to child's pose. Otherwise, if you're enjoying a little bit of a challenge today, you could stay up in your downward facing dog for a couple of nice, long, deep, slow breaths. Feet are about as wide as the hips. Hands are about as wide as the shoulders. Inhale, raise the left leg. Left leg comes between the hands. We drop the back knee. Fingertips, thigh, or full shape. Your choice, yogi's choice. Gaze can come up towards the ceiling. We'll take a nice big deep breath here. In and out through the nose. I'm going to ground the hands down. The right foot is going to come all the way forward towards the left, and we'll come straight into our half lift. So right foot comes all the way up to the left, into our half lift. Exhale, fold completely forward all the way down. Inhale, we'll raise all the way up. Hands can come together again. Urdhva Hastasana, we might come into a slight back bend if that works for you, if there's no pain or no sharp sensations. And we'll take a moment and then exhale, folding all the way forward, all the way into our Uttanasana. So our fingers can come in line with our toes. We can have a really nice big deep bend in our knees. We'll come all the way up to our half lift, hands onto the shins. We're going to plant the hands. This time our right foot's going to come back first. So we're on our second round. So we're going to do both sides of our body. Again, fingertips, thighs, thigh, or arms up, whichever feels best for you today. And remember, just keep the gaze in a position that feels comfortable for the neck as well. So if your arms are up, you might like to take the gaze towards the ceiling, or you might like to just keep a neutral gaze straight in front, whatever works for you today. So plant the hands, left foot comes all the way back to right, child's pose. Forehead comes onto the mat or onto a block. Take a nice big deep breath here. Gaze comes between the hands, scoop forward onto our belly for our cobra or bhujangasana in Sanskrit, and we'll inhale up, tops of the feet grounding into the mat, elbows are nice and close to the body. Great job, everyone. We're going to tuck the toes all the way back to our downward facing dog. Hips come back, pushing the hips back. Potentially taking a moment to rest if you need one. You can always drop the knees, come back into child's pose. Always a good place to come if you need a moment. Okay, we'll take another couple of deep breaths here in downward facing dog. Nice big long slow exhale. Okay, we're going to inhale, raise the right leg up. Bring that between the hands, rough alignment with the knee and the ankle. If anything, the knee can be a little further away from the ankle. Fingertips, thighs, reaching all the way up if you want to today. Gaze could come up. Make sure we have the top of this back foot grounded into the mat. And wherever we are, we'll take a nice big deep breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. Okay, you're going to plant the hands. Left foot comes all the way forward to the right. Into our half lift. Exhale, folding all the way forward. Into our Uttanasana, intense forward fold. Inhale, raise all the way up. Palms come together. We can bring our palms down through center. You can stay up towards the top of your mat and you can come back into mountain pose for a few breaths. So arms are down by the sides, palms facing forward. Slight bend in the knees, relax the shoulders. See if you can stay focused on the breath and the sensations in the body. Okay, and then when you're ready, so we're at the top of our mat, we're going to bring our hands onto our hips and we're going to step our right foot back about one leg length, one of our own leg lengths, so everyone's going to be different. The arch of the front foot, the heel of the front foot, and the arch of the back foot are in line with each other, and the toes are in slightly a little bit. I'm going to come into a pose called triangle. So what we do is we raise our arms up, we take our gaze over the front fingers, and we're going to reach all the way forward towards that front wall, and then we're going to rotate our left hand down, right arm comes up, tuck the chin if that's comfortable for the neck, take the gaze up to the hand above. If that's a little bit difficult for you, you can grab a block and you can bring that left hand onto a block for a little bit of stability. And if it's uncomfortable for the neck, you can keep the gaze down on that bottom foot. Or you could even keep the gaze neutral, just in a way that feels comfortable for your neck. So we'll take a nice big deep breath here. And a nice big long slow exhale. Okay, great job everyone. And then we're going to come all the way up through center. And we're just going to swap over to the other side. So we'll swap our toes. So we're now facing the other side of the room. Arch of the back foot, heel of the front foot are in line with each other. We raise our arms, reach all the way forward towards the front. When we can't reach any further, right hand rotates down, left arm comes up. We should feel a nice stretch in this left hand side of the body, but we're not kind of sinking in too much. I want to stay up quite nice and strong. Top arms reaching up, bottom arms reaching down. Again, maybe tucking the chin if we're taking the gaze up towards the top hand. Take a nice big deep breath here. And a nice big long slow exhale. Okay, we're going to come back up to center, and we can come all the way to the front of your mat. I'll just stay in the middle so you can see what I'm doing here. So we're going to raise our right arm out to the side, and then we're going to take hold of our left knee and just hold our left knee over to the left hand side. We want to have a really nice strong standing leg. So this right leg, we're not popping out in the hip too much. We're feeling nice and strong, nice and stable. So sometimes these balancing exercises can be really hard. So what we can do is keep our gaze down on the floor. That might make it a little bit easier. If we're up for a challenge, we could take our gaze over towards our right hand. Focus really hard on staying really nice and balanced. And we're breathing while we're here. Nice big inhale and exhale out through the nose. And you might have a little bit of a wobble and you might fall over, and that's completely normal. Balancing exercises can be really difficult. Take another big deep breath here. Okay, and we're going to swap over to the other side now, nice and easy. We're going to open that right knee out to the side, left arm comes out to the side. We'll take our gaze over towards those left fingertips. Or if we're having a bit too much of a wobble around, we might keep our gaze down low on the floor. Remember, really nice strong standing leg. We'll take a nice big deep breath here. And a nice big long slow exhale. Okay. Remember, if you fall out, just get back in. You can have a little giggle to yourself, a little laugh. Sometimes it's really hard to balance. Some days it's really easy. Okay, we're going to come back, and we're going to come back to the front of our mat. And this time we're going to step our right foot back, but a little bit further than when we did our triangle pose. So this time we're going to step our right foot back about 1.5 leg lengths, but the same alignment, heel of the front foot, arch of the back, toes are turned in a little bit. And then we're going to lunge into this front knee, this left knee. So we're coming into our warrior two, our Virabhadrasana two in Sanskrit, and we're going to raise our arms up. And we want to make sure our shoulders aren't kind of hunched up around our ears. We might check on the back arm just to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. And then we can take our gaze over our front fingertips. We also want to make sure that this front knee is working its way towards the little toe as opposed to falling in towards the center. Okay, it's a really strong pose, so take a nice big deep breath. And a nice big long slow exhale. And we'll do one more deep breath here. And one more big long slow exhale. Okay, then we're just going to swap around to the other side just like we did earlier. So we'll swap around so that our right foot is at the front. Heel of the front foot, arch of the back are in line with each other. We're going to lunge forward into that front knee. We're going to come into our warrior two on this other side. Really nice strong arms. Our knees working out towards the little toe. Take a nice big deep breath here. In and out through the nose if possible. One more big deep breath. One more big long slow exhale. Okay, great job. So we're going to turn the toes. You have to come to the side of your mat now. So we'll turn the toes in so that the feet are kind of parallel to the outside edges of our mat or whatever we're using, maybe a towel. And we'll bring our hands onto our hips. And you might like to have a block handy or a book or something in the middle in case you need it. So we're going to come halfway. So we're going to come forward so that our back is nice and flat. So we can open our legs as wide as feels comfortable. Our toes are turned in slightly. And then we can bring our hands onto the floor. If it's really hard for us to reach the floor, we could bring our hands onto a block if we needed one. That would be completely fine. So our fingertips coming onto the floor. And this would be the first place that we could stay. So this is a really great option if you already find that this is quite a strong stretch. If you feel like you might like to go a little further, or if you feel quite comfortable here, you might bring your fingertips in line with your toes and allow your head to come quite heavy, and eventually the crown of your head kind of reaching towards the mat or the ground.
So let's just come to a place that feels right in our body. That's the most important thing about yoga. So we're kind of listening to our body, understanding it a little bit better, making sure we don't hurt it, making sure we're not forcing any movements. We always say that about 60 to 70% of our full range of stretch is a good place to be. So if you're pushing all the way to 100% of what you can do, just soften off, come back slightly. Otherwise, we're going to take a nice few breaths here. Nice long, slow exhale. This is our wide-legged forward fold. Prasarita Padottanasana in Sanskrit. Really great for stretching the insides of the legs. Also quite a calming and cooling pose. So you should feel quite relaxed here. Okay, we're going to come back up to halfway, nice flat back. And then bring our hands onto our hips, and we're going to use the strength of our body to bring us all the way up. And then we're going to shimmy our feet back in. And then we'll come to lay down on our mat. So popping any props out of the way. We'll come to lay down on the mat. And we're going to make sure that the soles of our feet are in contact with the floor. And roughly our ankles are below our knees. And we're going to bring our hands down onto the floor as well. So we're coming into our bridge pose, our Setu Bandha. And we're going to raise our hips all the way up. As high as we can, and we might even like to bring the hands together underneath the body. If we can bring the palms to touch, that's great. Otherwise, we're just pushing the hands into the ground to give us a little bit more lift, a little bit more stability. And we're pushing our hips up as high as we can. Take a nice big inhale. And a nice long slow exhale. You're doing a great job. We'll take one more breath here. Nice big deep breath in. Nice long slow exhale. And we'll lower back down to the ground. And then we're going to grab that strap that we had prepared from earlier. We're going to stay laying down. We can keep the soles of our feet in contact with the floor. And so we'll open that strap up. And we're going to bring the strap around the ball of our left foot first. I'm going to straighten the left leg up. So what's important to know here is that the heel doesn't need to be above this side of the hip, this side of the pelvis. It's quite normal that the leg would be out straight like this, wherever you feel like it's comfortable. So if you have quite tight hamstrings, this might be a great place. You might get a really good stretch here. If you're a little bit more open, you can bring the toes a little closer to the shoulder, really. And you've got the option with the right foot as well to straighten that leg out if that's better and more comfortable, or to keep the sole of the feet in contact with the floor if that's more comfortable. So our arms are nice and straight on the strap if that's possible, and our shoulders are nice and relaxed. And we'll take a nice big deep breath here and a nice long slow exhale. And then we're going to push the ball of the foot into the strap and pull on the strap at the same time. So we're pushing the foot into the strap, we're pulling the strap with our hands. This is a little resistance stretch. And then we'll release the resistance. And then maybe the foot comes a little bit closer towards the shoulder. Maybe it stays exactly where it is. That's completely fine. We'll take a nice big deep breath again. And a nice long slow exhale. Okay, we'll swap over to the other leg. So left foot comes down. Strap comes around the ball of that right foot. Arms are nice and straight on the strap. Shoulders are relaxed. Find a place where we're comfortable. Remember, both sides of the body can be really different. So if on this side you need to have the heel kind of further towards the ground like that, feel free, that's great. If you didn't have a strap, you could just hold behind the back of your leg, behind the back of your thigh like this. It's a little bit more tough, but you could give that a go. So we'll push into the strap, pull the strap at the same time. Lots of resistance, push, push, and pull. Okay, and then we'll release. And maybe we'll notice a little difference. Maybe we won't notice anything. It's completely fine. One more big deep breath here. See if we can keep breathing into the belly. And a nice, long, slow exhale. Okay, great. We're going to release the foot, and you can pop that strap off to the side. We're not going to need it again. So we're going to stay laying on our back, and we're going to open our arms out into a big, nice, wide T shape, so our hands are roughly the height of our shoulders. We're going to lift up our hips just tiny little bit, shimmy them over towards the right, and then we're going to let our knees fall over towards the left. So we're coming into a twist here, and we're going to make sure our shoulders stay in contact with the floor. So maybe if that's a little bit difficult, we might see that we need a little bit of a prop. So we can grab a cushion and bring that underneath the knees, or we can grab a cushion and bring that between the knees if that feels quite a little bit more comfortable. The most important thing is both shoulders are on the mat or on the floor. Okay, and then we could even hold our left knee with our left hand, raising our right hand up slightly, or keeping it in a T shape, whichever feels most comfortable. If you want to raise the arm up a little bit higher than the shoulder, you'll get more of a stretch at the front of the chest. Otherwise, we can keep it in a T shape, and we're still getting lots of benefits from the pose. And we'll take our gaze over towards the right hand side. But remember, only if that's comfortable for your neck. So if that feels a little bit weird, just keep the gaze up towards the ceiling. We're going to take a few nice big deep breaths here and see if we can use this pose as a nice and relaxing pose. Allow us to rest here. So we've done the hard part of the class now. And we're just coming into our last few poses before we have a nice relaxation. Okay, and remember, it's totally normal for our thoughts to kind of get caught up and take our attention away, and our mind might wander. We'll try and see if, like in the beginning of the class, we could just keep our focus on the breath. Nice, gentle focus on the breath. Okay, great job, everyone. We'll bring the knees back through center, and we'll do that on the other side. So lift our hips slightly, hips come towards the left, knees fall all the way towards the right. And remember, both sides of the body can be quite different. So if you needed a prop on this side, you could just easily grab that cushion and use that, even if you didn't have to use it on the other side. You could take a hold of your knees with that right hand. Both of the shoulders are in contact with the floor. Left arm can come out towards the side or up a little bit. And we can take the gaze over to the left if that's comfortable again with the neck and the body. Otherwise, gaze comes straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to take some breaths, and we're kind of imagining that we're going to breathe into this side body here. Nice big deep breaths, nice long slow exhale. We can allow ourselves to relax a little bit. So this pose should be quite comfortable. So if it's not, grab that pillow, pop it under the knees or between the knees. Make sure that we can rest here in this pose. In and out through the nose. Just a few more breaths here. Okay, we're going to come to our final pose, which is called Shavasana, which is our resting posture. So really nice and easy, really nice and simple. We're going to lie flat, straighten our legs out, have a little bit of space between the legs, and then we're going to relax the legs so the feet will fall out towards the side. And we'll bring our arms down by our sides, palms facing up. We might shimmy the shoulders down a little bit so we have some space there. And we'll close down the eyes if that's okay with us today. And we're going to imagine that every time we exhale, our body gets a little heavier. So we inhale through the nose, and we'll see if we can have a nice long slow exhale. See if we can allow the body to feel really nice and relaxed and heavy. So the idea here is to just allow our body to completely rest. So we let the whole body feel nice and heavy. Almost feel as though we're sinking into the ground slightly. See if we might be able to just let go of any tension. Allow the body to rest here. Okay, and you might like to pause this video a little longer. And you could stay here for as long as you like. You could stay here for 10 minutes and really just chill out and relax. Otherwise, when you're ready, we might have a little wiggle of the fingers and the toes and wake the body back up a little bit. Take a nice big stretch overhead. Nice big deep breath. Maybe a nice big exhale. And slowly we're going to roll over onto our favorite side. Maybe take a moment there. Take a little moment before we sit up. And then slowly, maybe keep your eyes closed if you can. Slowly come up and we'll find ourselves in our cross-legged position. Just a really quick seat in the class. So we might come into our nice comfy cross-legged or just up onto our knees. I'm going to relax the shoulders. We're going to inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, bring them down through center. Inhale, raise the arms up. Bring them down. And then this time we'll bring them into the center of our chest, into our prayer position, or what's called Anjali Mudra in yoga. And traditionally at the end of a yoga class, the teacher would say namaste. So I just want you to take a moment to thank yourself for taking the time out to practice today, and I hope you've enjoyed this class. So namaste. Wonderful, thank you. I'm really glad that you watched this video today. Feel free to leave any comments below if there's any types of videos you would like to see. I hope you'll tune in and watch some more videos with me in the future as well. I also have some meditations going live as well, and you can join in with those. Okay. Thanks for coming to class today. See you again soon. Thanks.